And in the developing world, not only the deaths, but the sickness that this problem brings almost pushes the whole society down, and I'm assuming probably contributes to the lack of economic development.
That's absolutely true. You're 100% correct. The deaths are horrible, but the repeated infections and the damage to the intestines actually prevents normal absorption of nutrients, most critically among children that are 3 to 24 months age. So you're taking these vulnerable children at the time when their brains are developing most significantly, and you're now blocking nutrient absorption. So you get permanent cognitive deficits in these children, and so they do not achieve the ultimate developmental milestones that we would like the children to achieve, and it means that your population as a whole then does not have the same productive capacity. So you have a vicious cycle where ill health contributes to poverty, poverty leads to fewer alternatives, worsening health, and you really want to try to break out of that cycle with long-term interventions that make a difference.
Can the developed world solve this problem, or is this something that's going to have to be done on the local level?
I think this is a low-income country problem. However, there are clear assets that the developed economies can assist with. There are partnerships that can help, but if our fundamental solution is that we're going to take money and technology from wealthy people and bring it to poor communities, and that's going to be our solution, that's a solution that's not sustainable. We're looking at 1 to 2, maybe even 3 billion people every day that are drinking water that is contaminated with either chemicals or microbiological organisms that threaten children's health. This number is staggering if you think about, well, let's spend enough money to clean up this water supply. It is totally overwhelming if we think this is going to happen from a cash transfer basis. So I think we need to think about what are the low-cost solutions that we can sustainably put into these communities. And again, some of the expertise from developed countries in terms of the road they have traveled, some of the expertise that is available in engineering schools like the University of Oklahoma, a lot of these approaches can be helpful if adapted to the severely constrained context that communities in low-income countries live.
So paint me a picture of the future if we do nothing.
Well, I think that there are several concerns about the future in the business as usual scenario. The business as usual scenario has several problems because, number one, population growth is increasing markedly, particularly in low-income countries and particularly in water-scarce areas. In addition to the pressure of population growth, we also have the pressure of aquifers that are being depleted. We think of groundwater as a renewable resource, but in many places in the world, that renewal takes hundreds and sometimes even thousands of years for the water to renew. So if you're pulling water out of the ground at rates that are much higher than it is being recharged, we are putting ourselves towards more water scarcity. In addition, there's very good evidence that the climate is heating up. And with the global climate change, we're getting the melting of glaciers that are major sources of water for large populations. So if we continue the business as usual approach, what we are going to have is a worsening problem in coming decades, a worsening problem in having sufficient water for basic agricultural productivity and having safe water for household needs for the poor throughout the world. So as serious as the situation is now, because of other broader changes, by doing nothing, we will really risk precipitating a crisis, and a crisis that is both a humanitarian crisis as well as a broader political crisis. We've seen how much countries fight over natural resources when those resources are oil. And just as the people in Oklahoma are quite aware of the conflict that various states have over access to rivers, to river water, and the condition of river water, these kinds of tensions are magnified on an international scale when the differences are country-level differences. So ignoring the water problem or not addressing it aggressively, I would say is an issue that not only matters for human health, but really matters for our global security.
Thank you, Dr. Luby.